thank you for doing this today. We talked about having this chance to sit down and reflect some on your long career as a psychologist, counselor, consultant, writer, speaker, all the other things. There's so many things. In addition, and maybe even above all of that, mother and wife, daughter, friend, sister, all of these things that you are. And certainly in the 3 years that I have known you here at Gardner-Webb, you have been a phenomenal influence in my life. I don't know that you adopted me, but I adopted you immediately and knew that this woman could teach me some things about being a professor and a counselor educator. And so what I'm hoping to do in the next several minutes is ask you some questions.
Okay.
Pick your brain.
Okay.
And just ask about these last decades, really, of your, in particular, your balance of being a professional and a wife, mother, and a professional meaning all of the titles that you have carried, and so if that's all right, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like fun.
All right. Okay. So the first question is just that, as you think back on these years now of work and the influence you have had in this profession as an educator and as a psychologist and a counselor, how have you managed the balance of that with wife, mother, with the balance of personal life? How have you found the ways to manage that balance professionally and personally?
Well, I think that's such an important question for women and also for men, because we're not just our profession. We're much broader in terms of who we are, and especially as counselors, counselor professionals, people who are working with other individuals around ways to make their life better. We want to be sure that we do that in an authentic way by ensuring their own life is in order. So I think, the question about balance really comes down to being very intentional about saying, there are going to be decisions that I'm going to have to make that have to do with time, that have to do with making choices of roles, responsibilities, and so forth. And how am I going to balance my life as a professional and my vision of myself as a professional and the things that are important to me personally? And I think the most important thing I did was to determine what my priorities were. And just to be very clear about those, very upfront. When I was hired, I'm devoted to my work. I want to do everything I can to make, my program the best it can to be available to my students, to do a good job in the classroom, in the community. But my family comes first. And I need to set up a support system within my work family and without, so that when there are difficulties or challenges in terms of needs on both ends of the spectrum, then I have a way to do that. So I think establishing priorities, having a strong support system, being clear about what's important and what's not important to you. My kind of personal mission statement is make it meaningful. And I've made some decisions along the way. I've turned down some things. Not that I didn't think it might provide me some advantage in some way, maybe financial advantage or whatever, but I knew what was important to me. I knew where I wanted to be in the evening when it was time for the kids to go to bed or to process the day with my husband. And so establishing priorities and working to ensure that my life had meaning, and just saying my prayers at night that I hope I did everything that I could in the way it was supposed to be done, and if I didn't, help me when I wake up in the morning to start over again. So
that's a lot of intentionality.
Yes.
That doesn't just happen. What you're describing as someone who, as you said, prioritizes, who sees the needs and chooses for yourself what is valuable to you, and the order of those, because the profession has been valuable to you as well, but in the order behind family.
Well, when you sit with a client and you're talking about them making choices or finding within themselves what are their passions or living out what they believe to be their calling, if we're not attempting to do that in our personal life, then I think we're going to fall short in terms of being authentic. And when we're working with students, I think helping them to develop that approach as well is an important one in terms of their journey toward becoming a professional. I think, hopefully in your experience with the Gardner-Webb family, whenever there was a personal need, I hope that you felt supported and encouraged, and that you were the important person in all this, not the task as much as the relationship as a person.
I definitely can validate, and that has been my experience. One of the most valuable of my many valuable experiences here at Gardner-Webb, and seeing that in you. Seeing the support and in the other faculty, that it's not just something folks say.
Yes.
But it's something
it's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
And that has definitely been good for me as a new professor, and someone who's finding my way as a professor, watching the others of you and the others as well, but you in particular, having such a long and successful career that you have. So I'm taking that page from Dr. Frieda Brown's book and adding it to mine. Next question of maybe some of the early challenges that you faced as a professor. Do you remember, or maybe can recall how you overcame, or if maybe not even the earliest, maybe just a couple of the greater challenges in your career, how you overcame those?
I think, it's easy to forget because in the scheme of things, it's probably been a fairly short period of time, but when you're living it, it seems like a long time. But when I started at Gardner-Webb, the role of women was much diminished. And especially someone coming in, I was Presbyterian and a woman, and I had a career already from the mental health center, and I was a psychologist and, just lots of things. And I think that, being taken seriously, having my vision incorporated and integrated into that of the college, feeling heard, and that definitely, I think, happened over the years. But I feel like I had to prove myself as a professional and demonstrate that I was competent in the classroom and develop the network of professionals within the community. And, at that particular period of time when I had a lot more energy, I was doing quite a bit in the community to help establish programs that would support the mental health needs of kids and families and women. And so I was balancing not only my work in the classroom, but also private practice and work with the church. I was doing program development for the health center. So, trying to find a way that each role and each responsibility that I undertook somehow complemented the other, and being honest with myself when I was getting a little, not burned out, but my energy level, enthusiasm was diminishing in one arena, to try to find a way to nurture and build and complement. So just always, again, wanting to see myself in a growth mode, never in just a status quo.
That's a refreshing perspective, because things can become stressful, and you can become so focused on one area and miss the opportunities that are springing out of that. So closing down one and opening up another opportunity or another arena, as you say, of work, and sort of keep that perspective seems very helpful. Of what else is there and how to keep yourself vitalized or vibrant in the work that you're doing. All right, so I'm tracking with you. I say this to students all the time. Am I tracking with you?
Yes.
And so far, intentionality and prioritization, and really just finding a balance. Balance seems to be a theme as well, but finding a balance, and when maybe seeing one door closing, looking for the next door, and really trying to challenge and keep yourself, energized.
Yes. Okay. I think too, I want to add passion to that, because, like I say, I said no to some things that I was offered along the way that I felt might have been advantageous in one way, but wouldn't feed my passion. My passion has always been working with students and seeing them grow and develop and find their niche and be able to somehow deal with whatever difficulties they encountered, and then also the whole arena of crisis. So knowing where you have a passion and trying to position yourself so that you are able to make some kind of contribution and grow with that particular dimension of the work, I think is real important, because that keeps you, I think, energized and feeling dynamic in your work.
Dynamic, yes. Passion, you can forget that. My stage and age and stage in the game, or in the profession, you're so focused on the doing
Yes.
that you can forget the passion
Yes.
sometimes, and that's a good reminder
Yeah.
to me.
Good.
All right. Tell me of something maybe you're most proud of during your career as a professor.
Well, I guess first and foremost, I'd have to say I'm really proud of our students. You know, and I say our because it does take a whole community of people to help to nurture and to develop a counselor, as you well know. So it's never just me. It's never just the field-based, supervisor or their own individual work. It's all working together. But I'm proud to say that I bet 75% of our students that are in our internship class this summer are being supervised by my previous students.
Mm-hmm.
And so they probably laugh at me because they'll say, oh, my supervisor is so-and-so. Oh, yeah, they're mine, or that's my student.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really sweet note from one of them who has a private practice out in the community who had heard that I was retiring and said, you'll always be my professor. That was just, so touching to me because that continued sense that I planted a seed that is going to continue to grow throughout their career has been just a really remarkable experience. And then the second thing I'd have to say is, those programs that I've been a part of starting, that's another thing that I really love to do is to see a need and put people together and help it to start, I was a part of the team that started the graduate program in school and mental health counseling here. I did found the Rainbow Connection at the Shelby Presbyterian Church, a preschool program that has a mission component that's still going on, over 30 years. I helped to establish some of the community-based programs that are for kids. The Kingston Project that led to the formation of a community and a city government. So those things I think that we do that are persist over time are things that are blessed because they're the right thing at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel good about those programs that are going to outlive me.
Relationships, programs.
Yeah.
It's a clear investment that you've had and continue to see as I guess in the business world, return on investment.
Yes.
Is that right? So you're continuing to see that even today and beyond.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
All right.
Take a break just a second. Okay. We're going to find out how long they're going to be out there.
Oh, good. All right, Frieda, thank you. We're doing well. You're working your way right through these questions that I have. Thank you so much. Okay, I've asked you, something that I would like to know is another of many things I would like to know. What one simple piece of advice, and I think probably I've already gleaned several pieces of advice as you've been talking here, but is there a simple piece of advice you would offer to a new professor?
I would say, discover and live your passion. I just think, our passion really stems from our God-given gifts. And so when we discover our passion, we discover within us our calling. And that's always going to be something that we will, find that we do more easily, more comprehensively, with more ability to deal with the kinds of difficulties that we might encounter. And to be patient. It takes a long time for a career to unfold and for us to really discover where we're being called. So, it doesn't happen overnight. And sometimes if you get too entrenched in one direction, then, you don't see some other things that might end up being, surprisingly, a place where you'll find you really are going to grow as a professional, be nurtured as an individual.
The words passion, that word, and I believe you said early now here in our talk, make it meaningful.
Yes.
Okay, so these are things that I'm holding on to as we're talking. Make it
I think you already
meaningful.
have them, Dr.
Well,
Warden.
you're sweet. You're sweet. It's because of people like you, good teachers. All right. Okay. How about in a similar way? Maybe it's even the same advice. What simple advice would you give to program leaders? Which you've mentioned is something you've done a good bit of, creating and cultivating programs. Is there a simple piece of advice you would offer up to program leaders?
I think first to build the vision, to really have a clear idea of why am I doing this? what do I hope it's going to look like when it's completed? And what kind of resources do I need to put together? And what can each person bring to the table that's going to provide the most satisfaction to them individually and the most advantage to the program collectively? You know, some of us are better at administration, some of us are better at writing, some of us do well speaking, some like the one-on-one, some behind the scenes, and I think, you know, if you look at our department, you'll see we're all gifted in different ways, and together we're all much stronger than we would be individually. We can't do it ourselves, and to be honest about the ways in which we feel like we're really going to be able to encourage and nurture and help people to become part of the bigger picture. And I think that's, you know, that's part of it. There's something bigger than us. You know, there's something, there's a bigger calling here than just what we individually might see as important. And I think, you know, when you're young, you have a sense that you have all the answers and, you know how it's supposed to be done and all that sort of thing. And sometimes we shut down prematurely in terms of really listening and allowing the value of the collective wisdom to create the broader vision. But program development is hard because you know, you're trying usually to create something that wasn't there before, and so you have to bring people on board in terms of their commitment to making it work, and then their ability to persevere over time so that whatever the difficulties might be that they'll encounter won't become ones that will deter their enthusiasm or create negativity. I'm all about staying positive, upbeat, enthusiastic, laughing at ourselves and our inability to do things always in the way in which we think they're going to be done. But just keeping the energy level up and the excitement about what we're doing, and don't spend all your time talking about what's going wrong. Focusing on what's going on.
There's always plenty to focus. You wanted to focus on what's going wrong, so it's a good idea. So focusing on what's right, really focusing on the collective, the group, or the bigger picture of what's happening for the group and for the program. Okay. I should be writing these things down, but that's why we're videotaping. So I'll be able to have this. All right, then. How about, is there, and again, I don't know, this may be a little redundant, but is there a most important lesson you have learned over time, over these years now of teaching and leading?
I think I just relearn it all the time. I think it's always been important to me, but relationships have always been central to me. I think developing relationships, nurturing relationships, valuing relationships, seeing relationship as persisting over time, and not jeopardizing relationships for things that are not that important. So that I'm all about relationships, always have been, and I think that's been my life's blood, and I consider that it will continue to be even into the next phase.
Okay. All right. Well, I've told you don't go changing your cell phone number because I will find you. And you've extended in what you say here and in the the living out of that over these past few years that I've known you. It's consistent. You've extended relationship to me. I've watched you extend relationship to all the others around you, colleagues, students. So I'm a recipient of that relationship.
And the relationship is a two-way street.
Well, so. It is. And as I was listening to you, I'm thinking you really need to love who you're working with and where you're working at, so that collective energy is positive and healthy and nurturing.
Yes, definitely.
All right. We're just about done. A couple more questions for you. How has teaching changed or shaped you?
I think teaching has probably shaped my personality as much or more than anything that I've done. Because, when you think about being a teacher, then you're thinking about putting yourself in a position to try to communicate in a certain way so that people are able to benefit from that, and also to model something that is worthwhile. And hopefully we do that in a lot of our different roles. And so being a teacher extends, I think, beyond the classroom. So I'm thinking, I'm speaking more broadly, but I think it's helped me to be a much better listener. I think it's helped me to be more patient, to accept feedback and to take feedback seriously, not to be so offended by things that I might hear that would suggest that there's something that I might have missed, or I need to do something a little different way. And I have a love of learning. I really do. I absolutely love learning. I'm always searching for another avenue to continue to be party to the mystery and magic of this world that we live in. And so I think being a teacher has helped me to be better in my relationships, to see the value of time in terms of becoming its own teacher, and to also learn to laugh a lot, to laugh at myself, laugh at our circumstance, and just not be so intense about things, not having to see things as having to be perfect, because they never are. And so being a teacher it probably makes you the greatest learner that we could possibly be. I don't know whether you agree on that.
Oh, yes. I'm always learning.
We can't ever escape that in the role that we're in.
Yeah. I feel like it's a balance. I have to keep learning to stay up with, and maybe a nudge ahead of my students, and the challenge in that, but as you say, also the fun in that. Just for a personal desire as well. So it's keeping up with the students and being able to give to them what I feel like they need, but also the fun in learning. And I can't help but think, you're currently, I'm not sure how far along you are, but an additional degree at Duke University.
Yes.
Is this right?
My latest escapade,
Yeah.
academic escapade. My husband says if I'm anywhere near a university, then I'm going to be taking some courses, doing something. But
so I'll retire and then get an extra degree.
Yeah, well, but I did that. I've done that in my career. I started out with behavioral work, then I went to cognitive work. I did systems work. My latest is positive psychology. I see my work at Divinity School, another dimension, especially in our work where there's constant, change and more avenues that we have of doing research, more writing and people, and I don't know, there's always so much to learn.
Yeah.
And so that keeps me energized.
No rest.
So yeah,
for the
I'm back in
weary.
school again.
Back in school. I know. Well, so and I can somewhat as I'm preparing for this last question that I want to ask you. I feel like I've already heard possibly some of the answer to this. What will you most miss as a professor? No longer, on a weekly basis necessarily. You'll go on teaching, as you say. It's really part of who you are, and the learning piece is part of who you are. But is there a piece that you'll miss?
Yes. One of the things that I've loved about graduate education is we start with our students at a certain point, and we really spend 3 years with them. And they're a very important 3 years because they're changing so much and they're making so many important decisions. So, we have the opportunity for long-term, meaningful relationships. And I'm going to miss that. I mean, I know that I'll continue to have relationships, and I'm supervising people that I started supervising when I was a new professional at the mental health center. I still am in relationship with those psychologists. I'm going to miss my work family tremendously. I've really been blessed to be surrounded by people that I really do deeply respect. I love spending time with. And I have to accept the fact that I'm not going to have that day-to-day opportunity. And I live at the lake, so it's a little bit of a distance. I'll miss my Gardner-Webb family, I really will. But at the same time, I have such deep gratitude for having spent part of my life's journey with them, and all the ways that I've been blessed by that. So I'm going to, embrace that and celebrate the fact that I was given that opportunity and look ahead toward, what the next phase is going to be.
That's exciting. It's exciting for me at a newer place in my journey as a professor to hear the passion that you have for it clearly still at this point in your career, as your career is changing, as the next phase is opening for you, next door is opening. But that's exciting to me to hear, and to think about these ideas of passion, of commitment, investment, of love. I would even say, talk about these relationships and, of things you will miss, and there's a sense of love in that. Someone who's been deeply and genuinely invested in your work. And that's pretty exciting to me. Kind of helps in these things you're telling me, and beyond our sharing here, you've been teaching me for 3 years. So
You're kind, as you have been teaching me, Dr.
Mercy.
Warden.
Well, I entered your life, and here I am, new to this profession anyway, of teaching aspect, and you just embraced me and walked alongside me. I've laughed a lot and learned a lot, and this is all in my head and heart. And I thought we would take this opportunity today to put it onto video so that whoever else might benefit from it can benefit as well.
Well, thank you. It's just another way that you gifted me by bringing this type of closure to my time here at Gardner-Webb. Thank you.
Well, I thank you. In fact, I was kidding with you, but I think we're going to call this "Thank You, Dr. Frieda Brown," because of all the great things that you have done, and the great person that you are, and the humility. It's not even about being great or doing great things, but just the humility and the honesty and the humor that are so easily forthcoming from you. Thank you. Thank you. Frieda, I love you. Frieda, I really do love you and appreciate all the friendship and mentorship that you have provided to me. I've said it many times. I want to say it again. Please do not change your cell number, because I will need to call you, and you will need to come to Winston-Salem, or I will need to come to your lake house, preferably me to your lake house. Call me. And anyway, but seriously, Frieda, thank you. I have grown because of being here and because of knowing you, and I just look forward to continuing our friendship. All right, thank you.
Frieda, you picked a fine time to leave us, Lucille. 50 new mental health students, and not your expertise. Seriously, I love you so much. You have gone from professor to mentor, colleague, and friend for me, and I expect that to continue. So I will have you on speed dial, and I will be debriefing with you for my next Red Cross trips, since you were my inspiration for getting involved with that. So hang tight, and I know where you live, so just don't forget that. So I can find you if you try to ignore me or dodge me. Love you much.
Dr. Brown, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for 30 years of dedicated service to Gardner-Webb and to educating our students here. And I count it such a privilege to have been one of those students, to have sat under your teaching and to just have been like a sponge that wanted to soak up every word that came out of your mouth, because I just felt like that it was so profound to me. And I just want to say thank you for what you have meant in my life, how you have been such an inspiration, and you continue to be an inspiration with the fact that you continue to go to school and learn, and that you're just trying all kinds of new opportunities, and I appreciate that. And just the fact that you have, by your example, shown so many of us how to be a good counselor, how to be a good listener, and most importantly, how to be a good friend and to guide and direct those around you. And so again, I just want to say thank you. It's been a privilege, and I know we will be in touch and that we will talk, and I wish you the best in retirement. I hope you get to spend tons of time with your grandson. I know that's a big a big thrill for you, so I hope that you get to spend lots of time with him, and best of luck, and we will see you soon. Thanks.
Dr. Brown, I wanted to make sure I took a moment to thank you for creating this incredible program at Gardner-Webb. It's been the answer to my dreams that I've had for myself as long as I can remember to become a counselor and be able to make a difference in people's lives. You certainly made a difference in mine, and I wish you all the happiness and lots of rest in your retirement, and a little fun mixed in there too. Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Brown. I'm Julie Turner, and I graduated in December of 12. And I just wanted to say thank you for what you did to make this program here at Gardner-Webb what it is, and all that it's going to be in the future, to what you did to lay the groundwork, and those that are going to be coming through the program and teaching in this program in the years to come. I do, again, like I mentioned at graduation, at our baccalaureate and hooding ceremony, I was just wanting to say thank you for encouraging me to ask at work again for the opportunity to do my internship there, to be persistent, and that did come to fruition, as I mentioned that day. So I just want to thank you for what your impact was on my career here at Gardner-Webb, and again, I wish you all the best in the future with your retirement planning, and just taking some time for you for yourself. So thanks again.